Captain Amina Reyes stood at the airlock of the Odyssey's Whisper, her reflection ghosted against the polished viewport. Beyond lay the swirling purple clouds of Jareth's atmosphere, lit from within by the twin stars of the Xanthelian system. She inhaled, tasting recycled air and the faint tang of ionized particles, and reminded herself of the mission's purpose: diplomacy, cultural exchange, friendship. Yet nothing in her training had prepared her for the invitation etched on crystalline datapad that morning. Your presence is requested on Talmar. As our honored guest, you must delight all the women of the Iowa Moonweaver tribe. The phrase had danced in her mind ever since, equal parts challenge and mystery. She peeled off her helmet, letting her dark curls spring free, and tapped the release. The hatch slid open with a pneumatic sigh. 2 Xanthelian emissaries waited on the landing pad, tall, graceful figures with 6 limbs and skin the color of polished moonstone. Their amethyst eyes regarded her with gentle curiosity. "Welcome, Captain Reyes," intoned the taller of the 2 in musical Xanthelian, his voice resonating deep in her chest. A soft hum rippled through the air as he translated via her implant. "I am Senor Olith. This is Dame Veshal. We are honored by your arrival." Amina dipped into a formal salute. "Thank you. Please convey my gratitude to the Confederation Council for this opportunity." Olith inclined his head. "They were most insistent. The Moonweaver tribe awaits at the Grove of Brightbinding. Shall we proceed?" She nodded and stepped forward. The moment her boots touched Talmar's loamy soil, bioluminescent ferns exhaled. A gentle glow and vapor drifted between giant spiny trunks. Amina felt a thrill of wonder run along her spine. Every leaf pulsed with life. Every shadow hinted at unseen creatures. Against a canopy of twisting vines, the emissaries guided her along a winding path. In the distance, she glimpsed the spired silhouette of the grove's pavilion, its vines woven into a living lattice of light. Wordless birds, their feathers shimmering like opals, darted overhead and echoed distant calls with haunting song. At the grove's entrance stood the Moonweaver, tribeswomen, dozens of figures arrayed in flowing iridescent robes that caught the fernlight. Their 6 arms folded respectfully across their chests. Faces serene, they formed an arch of welcome beneath the great vine lantern. A hush fell. Amina's chest tightened as she realized all eyes, each set of amethyst irises, were upon her. One woman seated on a carved wooden dais and draped in silver-threaded robes rose to greet her. The translator whispered, "Matriarch Ulushi." The matriarch's presence felt like a tranquil tide. She extended a slender hand, and Amina, hesitating only a heartbeat, took it. A warm current passed between them. "Captain Reyes of Earth?" Yulashi's voice carried both in mind and through the translator. "We welcome you under the Moonweaver's light. Tomorrow's dawn marks your trial. To learn our art of bright binding and through it, delight each sister of our tribe. Only then may you depart in peace and friendship." Amina's pulse fluttered. She searched Ulushi's calm gaze and saw no mockery, only expectation, and perhaps hope. "I understand," she said. "I will honor your custom." A ripple of agreement rose among the women, filling the grove with a soft, harmonic hum. Drone-like at first, the hum swelled into layered notes as though the entire tribe sang in silent chorus. The vine lanterns overhead brightened, bathing the clearing in gentle emerald light. Dame Veshal stepped forward, her 6 arms folding elegantly. "Come, Captain. Rest now. At dawn we begin. May your heart be open." Amina nodded and allowed the tribe to guide her to an ornate suite of woven vine braids and leaf-padded mats. As she settled onto the soft bedding, the hum of contented voices drifted through the air. Outside, the ferns pulsed in time with her racing heartbeat, welcoming her and challenging her to embrace a custom older than any starship. Lying back, she stared up at the living ceiling of intertwined vines and suspended lantern fruits. The invitation had been accepted. The real journey was only just beginning. Tomorrow she would delight them all, or fail the trust they had placed in her. And with that thought, the lights faded, and Captain Reyes drifted into slumber, the violet sky of Talmar promising wonders and trials alike. At first light, a soft green glow crept through the woven lattice of Amina's quarters, heralding Talmar's dawn. She rose, muscles still tingling from the long voyage, and donned a simple white tunic the tribe had provided, light as mist, embroidered with spiral motifs that pulsed gently against her skin. Dame Veshal awaited her at the grove's edge, where the fern-carpeted floor gave way to a circle of towering vine pillars. Each pillar bore carved glyphs, illuminated by bioluminescent moss. "This is the Grove of Bright Binding," Veshal explained, her 6 arms moving in a graceful arc. "Here, guests learn to craft bonds of delight, the bracelets, the stories, the songs. Through these, you honor each sister and weave your own thread into our tapestry." Amina nodded, stepping forward. The air was thick with sweet, resinous perfume and the distant trill of morning songbirds. She touched a pillar's cool surface, tracing a glyph that looked like 2 interlocking moons. A faint warmth spread beneath her fingertips. Veshal guided her to a low bench hewn from living wood. Upon it lay thin vines, strands of glowing sap, sharpened bone needles, and tiny seed beads that flickered like captive stars. "First, the vine lace bracelets," Veshal said. "Each must reflect a gift you choose for its wearer: joy, courage, comfort, or wisdom. Your touch and intention infuse the sap, so the light within bears your truth." Amina picked up a length of vine. It felt alive, pulsing softly in her hand. As she threaded the needle, Veshal placed a slender finger on her wrist. "Center your mind. Think of what brings laughter to your heart. Let that warmth guide your stitch." Closing her eyes, Amina remembered her crew's laughter during Zero-G training, the sound of Lieutenant Hawk's joking banter echoing through the corridor. She let that memory flow through her fingertips as she wove. Each loop shone brighter at the inflection of her needle. When she finished, the bracelet glowed a merry gold, and Veshal smiled, a slow, approving curl of her lips. "Excellent," the elder murmured. "Now the second rite, storytelling beneath the Moonweaver's arch." They walked to a curved arbor, an archway of braided vines hung with delicate lantern fruits. Under its canopy, dozens of the tribe's women sat in concentric rings, their robes shimmering. Amina's translator ticked to life, soft syllables whispering in her ear. Elder Veshal cleared her throat with articulate grace. "Captain Reyes will share a tale of Earth's waters." A hush fell. Amina drew a steadying breath and began. She told of Earth's oceans, of the dawn-pink skies over the Pacific, of whales that sang at low frequencies to call across miles, of corals blooming in kaleidoscopic gardens beneath waves. As she spoke, she mimed the swell of water with her hands. She shaped the arc of a jumping whale. She cupped her arms as if plunging into the cold blue. Faces around her brightened. One woman leaned forward, 6-limbed hands clasped in wonder. Another pressed a hand to her chest as if feeling the ocean's pulse. When Amina finished, an expectant silence held the grove. Then soft murmurs of delight rose in a gentle chorus. Before she could catch her breath, a new challenge emerged, the lullaby of the fire moths. Len-Ara, the scout musician with opal-white hair, beckoned Amina toward a grove of phosphorescent lilies. At Len-Ara's nod, Amina joined her in song. The melody was slow, punctuated by bird-like trills and low hums, each note summoning the fire moths, delicate winged insects whose bodies glowed like embers. Amina stumbled on the high trill at first, her throat unused to xanthelian tonalities. But Len-Ara's clear voice guided her, weaving around her mistakes until they blended into harmony. Moths drifted downward, dancing across their arms and shoulders in a living waterfall of light. Amina felt their warmth, a tangible response to the music they'd summoned. When the final note lingered and faded, Len-Ara tapped Amina's wrist affectionately. "You learn quickly," she whispered, her voice a soft cascade. By midday, Amina's head swam with new rituals and songs. Yet as she returned to the pavilion for a simple meal of spiced tuber roots and sweet nectar, she realized the true lesson. Delight was not mere entertainment, but transformation, of vessel to vessel, mind to mind, culture to culture. As the twin sons of Talmar reached their zenith, Amina lay her head against the vine-woven bench and closed her eyes. Tomorrow brought further trials, tests of wit, endurance, and spirit. But tonight, she had taken the first steps in bright binding, and already felt the bonds of the Moonweaver tribe weaving her into their world. By the third dawn on Talmar, Amina felt the tribe's rhythms pulsing in her blood. The hush before dawn's glow, the whisper of the vines, the steady cadence of six-limbed feet on soft earth. When Dame Veshal invited her to the trial circle, she found herself flanked by Naisha, warrior poet of the Moonweavers, and Lenara, the scout musician whose melodies still echoed in her dreams. The duel of verse Naisha's eyes, sharp as obsidian, studied Amina before speaking. "Our poetry binds memory to soul," she intoned, voice rich with challenge. "Recite a verse and then match it with one of your own." Amina's pulse quickened. Recalling the lunar myths she'd heard the night before, she began in measured Xanthelian. "When twin fires kiss the sky, shadows dance and secrets sigh." She felt Naisha's approving nod, then the matriarch's implant fed back subtle vibrations of delight. Naisha's lips curved as she replied in fluent couplets. "Through shadow's fold and morning's grace we find in darkness our true face." Now it was Amina's turn. Summoning every scrap of borrowed language, she improvised. "As moons entwine in silver flight, our hearts align beyond the night." A hush fell, then a ripple of soft, six-voiced applause. Naisha's stern facade melted into a proud smile. "You honor the moons and our bond," she murmured, pressing Amina's shoulder in respect. The canopy of chimes, before she could savor her victory, Lenara guided her to the basket trees, a grove of living platforms, suspended high above the ground, each woven from vines into cozy hollows. Dozens of vine chimes dangled at varying lengths, tuned to Talmar's two sons, one chime bright and clear, the other deep and sonorous. "Play," Lenara urged, handing Amina a slender striker carved from rootwood. "Speak through sound, what words cannot capture." Amina's first strokes wavered. The chimes clanged discordant in the dappled light, but Lenara's steady hum wove beneath her notes, guiding her hands and heart into harmony. Together they coaxed a melody that rose and fell like convulsing waves, bending at the apex into a perfect melding of high silver and low amber tones. As the final reverberation faded into the emerald canopy, Lenara's laughter pealed like crystalline bells. The insects and birds stilled as if to listen, and then resumed in jubilant chorus. A test of trust. Yet even as triumph warmed her, a new trial loomed. Naisha returned, silver-tipped blade in hand. "Now, we test your courage." In Talmar's rite, poetry and music were only half the path. True delight required vulnerability before danger. Guided to a shallow pool whose waters shimmered with bioluminescent algae, Amina was to dive and retrieve a smooth, moon-polished stone from its depths. Though waist-high, the pool was rumored to be home to mirror jelly eels, harmless unless provoked, but their sting could paralyze. Heart pounding, Amina knelt at the water's edge. She recited a quiet benediction to the Moonweaver goddess, then submerged her arm. Pale tendrils brushed, her fingers sending a shiver up her spine, but she held her nerve and felt the rounded stone in the silty floor. With slow care, she cradled it above water. Gasps and soft cheers rose from the grove. Naisha placed a gentle hand on Amina's wrist. "Courage and grace," she said simply. "You delight not just through skill, but through spirit." As Amina rose from the pool, dripping and triumphant, she realized that each trial had stripped away a layer of her old self, her caution, her formality, until only openness remained. To delight the women of Talmar, she must continue offering her true self, curious, daring, and entirely present. Tomorrow's trials would demand more still, but in that moment she understood the Moonweaver's gift, that to weave bonds of joy one must first weave a bridge of trust. And on Talmar that bridge was hers to cross. The day of the eclipse dawned in an otherworldly hush. Talmar's twin suns, Lyra's warm amber light and Baal's cool silver glow, hung low in the sky, their disks edging toward perfect alignment. Amina rose before first light, her chest tight with anticipation. This was the Moonweaver tribe's most sacred ritual, a moment when both suns vanished, and the hidden Moonweaver goddess could be felt in every heartbeat. Dame Veshal met her at the grove's threshold. "Come," the elder intoned. "The tribe prepares for the eclipse ceremony. Tonight your true heart will be tested." Amina followed in silence, stepping over petals of ash and pollen that formed swirling patterns on the fern-carpeted path. At the eclipse ring, a vast clearing ringed by ancient spiraling vines, every woman of the tribe gathered. Their 6 arms moved in precise choreography, painting their torsos and limbs with a paste of black ash and golden pollen. Patterns of crescent moons, interlocking rings, and flowing glyphs adorned their skin, each design carrying a blessing for the honored guest. A hush fell as Amina entered, her own skin brushed with soft silver dust, marking her as the guest of honor. Matriarch Yulashi stood at the circle's center, her silver-threaded robes catching the dim light. She raised a slender arm, and all the women raised theirs in silent salute. The air pulsed with a telepathic hum, a web of shared emotion that sent waves of warmth through Amina's chest. She felt each thread of thought, reverence, curiosity, quiet joy. Yulashi's translator whispered in her ear, "Captain Reyes, to complete the ceremony you must offer each sister a token of bond, speak a vow in our tongue, and awaken the eclipse chorus." In Amina's hand lay a woven satchel of vine lace, bracelets she had crafted, each one infused with memories of laughter, courage, wisdom, and comfort. As the sun's lights drew together, she knelt before Naisha, whose striped eclipse markings shone like starlight on obsidian. Pressing a bracelet into Naisha's 6 hands, she spoke in careful Xanthelian. "I vow to honor your strength and protect your path, as you have opened yours to me." Naisha's stern countenance softened. She slipped the bracelet onto her wrist, and its fibers glowed with a pale violet light. Amina rose and repeated the ritual with Lenara, whose eyes glimmered with delight at the gift of courage woven into her bracelet, and then with each sister in turn, dozens of women, each receiving a unique blessing. As the final bracelet found its place, Baal's silver light slid fully over Lyra's amber sphere. The grove darkened, and the eclipse reached totality, a ring of pale light encircling a void. In that suspended moment, Amina lifted her voice. In the eclipse chorus, a melody she had learned in the grove of Brightbinding. "Mayasha Lauren Velreth," she sang, her words weaving through the silent minds of the tribe. With each phrase, the implanted translator harmonized her voice into a 6-voiced tapestry. The women joined, their song rising in layered counterpoint. A hymn of unity, a plea for the Moonweaver's guidance. The vine lanterns overhead flickered and brightened, responding to the chorus. Bioluminescent insects surged in swirling columns, casting pinpricks of emerald light onto the ash-painted bodies below. The air thrummed with raw, collective joy. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the suns parted. Warmth and color returned, in an instant. The eclipse ended, but the bond it forged lingered. Matriarch Yulashi stepped forward, rain of golden pollen drifting around her. She pressed a vial of glowing sap into Amina's palm. "You have revealed your heart, Captain Reyes," Yulashi's voice echoed. "Your vow has been sealed in song, and the Moonweaver smiles upon our bond." The telepathic hum blossomed into a tide of gratitude, washing through Amina like a gentle wave. Tears blurred her vision, tears of relief, of wonder, and of profound connection. As the tribe dispersed into evening's returning light, Amina remained kneeling at the circle's center. She held the sap vial close, feeling its warmth pulse in time with her own heartbeat. The eclipse ceremony was complete, not a test of strength or skill, but a revelation of unity. Gathering her courage, she rose and allowed the women to press, soft six-fingered hands against her cheeks, her arms, her heart, each touch a silent pledge of continued friendship. In their eyes she saw the promise of a true alliance, born beneath twin suns and sealed in the magic of shared song. When at last the last lantern dimmed and the final chord faded into the night, Amina knew she had passed the ultimate trial. She had delighted every sister of the tribe, not through spectacle alone, but by offering her genuine self. And as the violet dusk settled on Talmar, she felt the unbreakable weave of the Moonweaver tribe's embrace enfolding her into its luminous tapestry. A pale violet dawn unfurled across Talmar's horizon as Captain Amina Reyes packed her satchel beneath the grove's living canopy. The air swirled with lingering pollen from the eclipse rites, and bioluminescent vines pulsed softly, as though mourning her imminent departure. She paused to run her fingers along the braided vine-lace bracelets still coiled in their pouches, tokens of laughter, courage, and song she had shared with each sister of the tribe. Dame Veshal appeared at her side, 6 arms cradling a cloak woven of moonbeam threads. "Before you leave," Veshal intoned, voice gentle as dawn mist, "the tribe bestows its last gift." She draped the cloak across Amina's shoulders. Its fibers shimmered with shifting silver and emerald light, warm against her leather flight jacket. "May it guide you through darkness, bind our worlds, and remind you of our light." Amina bowed her head and pressed a hand over her heart. "I am honored. This bond we share will guide every step of my journey." Beyond the grove, the tribal women assembled in a crescent along the fern-lined path to the landing pad. Matriarch Ulushi stepped forward, her robes now embroidered with crescent gold threads that caught the morning glow. In one hand she held a crystalline vessel of glowing sap, the sacred essence of Talmar's living heart. She extended it to Amina. "Pour this into your ship's core," Yalushi instructed, "so that our world's vitality may travel with you and strengthen the ties between our peoples." With reverent care, Amina accepted the vessel. She felt its gentle pulse, as if the moon itself beat within. "I will carry it safely," she vowed. As the Odyssey's Whispers engines hummed on the launch stand, Amina turned to her new sisters. Lenara stepped forward, the memory of their chime duet still ringing in her mind. She pressed a single vine-lace bracelet into Amina's palm, woven with threads of optimism and discovery. "For the unknown ahead," Lenara whispered. Naisha, warrior poet, placed her hand atop Amina's and recited a final couplet in Xanthelian. "Though stars divide and distances grow wide, our hearts remain where moonlit rivers glide." Amina's eyes misted. She reached up to embrace Naisha's 6-armed form, feeling the steady strength in each limb. At her signal, the tribal women lifted their voices in a parting chorus, soft, layered hums that resonated through Amina's bones. The vines overhead glowed in rhythmic response, casting rippled shadows across the landing pad. Stepping aboard, Amina carefully sealed the sap vessel into the ship's core matrix. The console's lights shifted to emerald, and the engines gave a satisfying shudder, as though awakened by Talmar's living essence. She wrapped the moonbeam cloak more snugly around her shoulders and settled into the pilot's seat. Through the viewport, she watched the tribe's crescent of figures grow smaller as the Odyssey's whisper rose. The landing pad's vines retracted respectfully, and emerald lantern fruits pulsed farewell. Amina felt a swell of emotion, pride, nostalgia, and a profound sense of connection that transcended light years. As Talmar's purple jungles receded beneath her, she whispered into the ship's intercom. "Matriarch Ulushi, this is Captain Reyes." The vessel responds. "Your gift flows through every circuit. The bond is sealed." Back came Ulushi's calm, resonant reply. "Go forth in friendship, Captain of Earth. Know that the Moonweaver's light will guide you, and that you are forever our sister." With a final glance at the twin suns arcing over Talmar, Amina set her course for home. In her heart, she carried not only the tribe's laughter, their music, and their poetry, but the living pulse of an alien moon, a reminder that the greatest Discoveries await when we open ourselves to every culture's song. O4 Mini High.